Enlightened World Network. Every month, we bring you a numerology forecast, the new month forecast. And here we are, April 1, and we have EWN's favorite numerologist, Michele Landers, the author of The Tao of Numbers. Check it out on Amazon. And Michele, we are so ready to hear about April.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I am sure everybody is. And there's so much information buzzing around. But first of all, thank you, Ruth. I love EWN, Enlightened World Network, and you're doing such a wonderful job of promoting peace and harmony in this world. And I just mentioned you in my newsletter this month as well, because I just want more and more people to tune in. It's just wonderful. You're spreading love and peace, and God bless you for that. So thank you. So I love being on here, and I love sharing the information. And I just want to recap, for those people who have not heard this before and don't know what the entire year is about. Basically, it's a 6-year, which, how did I get that? 2022, 222 adds up to 6. And what does that mean universally? It's a very service-oriented year. It's about families. It's about domestic issues. I mentioned at the onset of the year that this would be a time that the US would be reaching out to other countries, which is happening, but we also have to be aware of not interfering in places where we shouldn't. And that might become very apparent in the summer. So we'll just keep our eyes open for that. So this month, what I really wanted to do is add, which I normally do, add a little bit of astrology, a little Chinese astrology, a couple of tarot cards. And I'm going to be going back and forth between a little astrology and a little numerology, and I have some tarot cards here. So I do want to mention that although I do know a little bit about astrology, I also glean a lot of astrological information. I always like to give a shout out to people that I admire. And Pam Gregory is a well-known English astrologer. And some of the stuff that she mentioned really agreed with the numerology. So I thought it would be a good idea to mention those planets that were transiting. One more thing before we dig in. If anybody would like to know their personal numerology for April, all they have to do is either go on my website, michelelanders.com, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get your personal numerology for April. In fact, you'll get it every month. If that's too difficult, then just email me at michelelanders@bellsouth.net, and that's Michele with 1 L. So right at the start, happy new moon. Today is the April 1st. It's a new moon. It's a great, great day. Of course, it represents new beginnings, and it gives us a wonderful burst of energy because it is also in the very fiery sign of Aries. Also, digress for 1 second, on my Facebook page, and I can post this on EWN, I have a new moon ritual. I really, really, really encourage people, and I'll probably mention this 3 or 4 times during this session. Please do a new moon ritual today. It's like all of the stars and the energy are all lined up more so than usual to support whatever it is you want to manifest. So all of the metaphysical indications point to new beginnings. So what is this? It's an excellent time for new projects, new starts, new way of doing things. And since this new moon conjuncts Mercury, and Mercury is all about communication and thinking, it's going to put a lot of emphasis in addition on what I just mentioned, all those aspects. Something else new. This new moon also conjuncts a planet called Chiron. And I don't know how many people know about Chiron. So the planet Chiron was discovered in 1977, and it is named after one of the mythological centaurs who were half man, half horse. And Chiron, it was said, was a very wise teacher of a lot of different metaphysical subjects, as well as other subjects. This is the myth. And Chiron was badly and painfully wounded by Heracles, that's right, in battle. So now we have this planet Chiron, and Chiron is called the wounded healer. And so why is that important? Because during this new energy, this new moon, it is really important for us. And I think we just kind of talked about this before the broadcast. Take a serious look at your wounds, quote unquote, whatever that might be, emotional, mental wounds, and how we can and how we must heal ourselves. So I would say, along with all of the new energy of this month, this cleaning up of our wounds and healing is a must do. It's always important, but especially this month. And what's so great about it is the entire month is going to give you added support to do that. So we always love when the numbers and the stars are aligning and giving us that extra boost. So to jump to the numerology for a bit, and then I'm going to jump back to the astrology. First of all, April is going to be the only month this year with one energy, and that makes it even more powerful, okay? And the astrological aspects are saying the exact same thing. So some of the numbers that we have that to look at are 1, new beginnings. And of course, the month of April by itself is a number 4. Number 4 is about structure, and I'm going to go into that a little bit more. We also have the number 6, which is about love, family, service, and nurturing. And then we also have the number 10. And 10 is both the end and the beginning, and it has unlimited potential. So although April is a 1 universal month and a 6 universal year, April is also the 4th month of our calendar year. So I want to talk just a little bit about the number 4, because all of those numbers do come into play. And it's, okay, so that's great, but what happens? So the energy of the number 4 is all about our foundations and setting new foundations. It's structure, it's commitment, it's stability. It is taking things step by step. It's looking at the details. It's our precious Mother Earth. It is hard work, and it does have an element of seriousness, but it's also about justice. So I don't have the picture of it now, and I thought I did, but if you think of the 4th card of the tarot, and I'll tell you what that is, that's the Emperor. And the Emperor represents being a strong, rational leader. He's all about rules and regulations, following law and order, being honorable, being disciplined, being reliable. It's serious, and it's grounding. So it also relates to the archangels, because in some Kabbalah-based systems of ceremonial magic, all 4 of the main archangels, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, and Uriel, are being invoked right now. And they're guarding the 4 quarters, directions. So we want to call on those energies as well. And going back to Mother Earth, what does that mean, the four? Well, I have to say, and this is a theme that has been repeated last year and this year, there's a real shakeup with Mother Earth. So again, we can expect like earthquakes and, things having to do with Mother Earth that will come to the surface. But, I really, really want to make it clear, that all the numbers, every single number, and just like everything that we're experiencing in this physicality of life, all the numbers have their flip side. And what I mean by that is when interpreting the number, it's pretty simple. If you're living your life in a spiritually conscious and positive way, it's likely that you will, or we will as a whole, meaning the world, will experience the positive aspects of the numbers. Of course, my caveat is there's always karma and there's always destiny. So, sometimes people say to me, well, if that's true, then why do I bother doing anything if I don't know what I'm doing is going to bring about a positive response or positive feedback? I can tell you that doing everything in a spiritually conscious way, despite some things that happen in our lives that are karmic and destiny, you can't go wrong because it will enhance your ability to live a higher octane life, so to speak. And so as much as possible, we want to focus on the positive aspects. And honestly, in reality, I really have total faith in the numbers and their interpretations. And most of the time in anybody's life and even in the world, it's a mixture, it's a little bit challenging and then it's positive. So what about this month of new beginnings? But also the shadow, let me just mention the shadow side of 4 could be for the world, inflexibility, being stubborn, living under illusions, insecurity. And I'm going to talk about that and how that's mirrored in astrology in a bit. So if we take the number 4 and again, add it to the 2022, that's how we arrive at the number 1. Well, actually, it's number 10. And again, normally I reduce the numbers. I would reduce 10 to 1. But the number 10 really does have a lot of energy about it of independence, leadership, new beginnings, creativity, and the 0 adds extra vitality, extra confidence, enhanced creative power, and the 0 can intensify whatever it is attached to. So that's a little bit of numerology info going forward. So what about the number 1? So the keywords for number 1, again, new beginnings, independence, clarity, strength. It is a go get it energy, which I'm going to repeat over and over again. Having confidence, having a strong presence, being the pioneer, individualization, inventiveness, assertive, and even to a little degree, it represents aggressiveness. And it represents leadership and originality, and it corresponds to the planet, the sun, which is a strong male energy. The element is fire, and that's why we get a lot of fiery energy in the month, and of course with Aries, with April, and the color's red. So the number 1, as I said, corresponds to the astrological house of Aries, and that's a perfect match right now. And it also corresponds to, where is that card now? Okay, I do have a card. The Magician. Let's put the Magician up there, if you can see that. Okay, so what is it about the Magician? The Magician has everything that he needs to co-create his life and create miracles. So we want to really have faith and focus in on that. For the world, April brings in this fresh new energy, new beginnings, creativity, courage, and transformation. It also is a bit of a warrior energy as well. So we have to be cognizant of that. But I'm not going to be surprised at all if we see even more large groups of people speaking out. And I know I talked about this before, but really this month, you're really going to hear about this kind of outcry of listen to me. So in conjunction with the 6th universal year, that will mean that we'll also hear about new ideas having to do with medical treatments. And I'm not sure how that's going to unfold, but definitely medical treatments. 6 is the number of service and healing. It also has to do with the pharmaceutical industry. So it may be we hear about some new drug or some new treatments or something different. On the flip side, we also have to be aware that it could even mean hearing about something toxic. So we just got to keep our ears and eyes open. So it's also about new families. So how do I interpret that? Well, I do think we're going to experience large numbers of Ukrainian families immigrating to the US and, of course, other countries. So it's interesting how that all lines up. And I think we're going to hear of some new developments with Russia and Ukraine. And I'm hoping upon hope that it means some type of, new beginnings. So there's going to be a lot of people speaking out, people being opinionated. And again, that's great to speak out, to have your voice heard, but how we channel that energy is really, really important. If we do it from a place of love and a place of positivity, then that's going to come back to us in a positive way. So this is a very fiery energy this month. Big demands for freedom of speech, just pay attention to me. So how can we use this information so far on an individual level? Well, here's a couple of suggestions. Number one, as I said, do a new moon ritual today. Please, please, please. Sometime today, do a new moon ritual. In actuality, you can do it a couple of days after, that's what I've heard. I don't know for sure, but that's what I've heard. You can do it a couple of days after. I would encourage everybody to do it today. And how to do that is on my Facebook page, but I'll be happy if you like, if Ruth would allow me to put it on EWN. So in the meantime, here's my questions. We need to ask ourselves, what needs a new perspective in our life? And I want people to think about those words very, very carefully, because at first blush, people may say, I don't know, what do you mean, new perspective? Think about it. Think how and what would you like to see differently? What new energy can you bring forth? Another important aspect, what needs transformation in your life? What new things in your life needs nurturing? It's like getting a seed and planting it. And that's another thing that I encourage people to do, is plant something that's meaningful. What actions are holding you back? What makes you feel insecure? What scares you? And what maybe feels just a little bit out of your reach? So those are some of the questions. And I can tell you that as far as what do you think is out of your reach, I would really love people to reconsider what they think is out of their reach. And if they can, get into that mode of go get it and take a risk. This is definitely a risk-taking month. So here's another interesting aspect I found in Chinese astrology. This is the water tiger year, which I did not know. And with all tiger years, what is the theme? Power. I mean, we can pretty much figure it out on our own, but the water tiger year, the theme is power and energy and fierceness. And it indicates, as in numerology, it's going to be a fast moving year, like no kidding, right? We already know that. So decisions, we have to be careful because decisions, and again, this is for the world as well as individually, be careful of decisions that might be made in haste. And that's kind of challenging to do because it's such a fast moving year. And this is a fast moving month. So it's best for us to just proceed with caution, think about it. And again, right at the start, we have this new moon. So this month, even though we have Chiron, which is the wounded healer, with all of this energy, it just makes it a little bit easier to get any of those wounded or painful memories out and heal. This is so great to do that this month. And again, of course, I said it's about setting intention. It is astrologically as well, it's a very, very intense and powerful time. So I want to also mention that whatever you plant now, you can expect to see the harvest of it anywhere from now to 9 months. 9 months is, you give birth to it. So this fiery energy this month is magnified because it's in the sign of Aries. And interestingly, it's like all of this energy of one and new beginnings is crowded together. As of March 21st, we entered into the spring equinox. And what is the spring equinox? It's the beginning of the new astrological calendar year. So that is another new beginning that we're in. And not only that, but this new astrological new year is a Jupiter year. And last year was Saturn. So this year we're being guided astrologically by Jupiter. And what is Jupiter about? Growth, miracles, connection, good fortune, prosperity. So we can expect massive waves of evolutionary changes coming in. So we also really need to be aware that because Jupiter is expansive, it's going to expand our emotions. So whatever you're feeling, anxious, fearful, that's going to be expanded. However, if we're feeling loving and peaceful, that's going to be expanded. And as Pam Gregory had said, I love this, she said, we can either go from terrible warlike feelings or go to the divine and feelings of transcendence. Now, another thing that she had mentioned to be on the lookout for is April 12th. So April 12th, we have this Jupiter, which is expansion, Neptune, which is water, conjunct Pisces, and Pisces is unbounded water. So Jupiter, you might, and people might know where I'm going with this, but Jupiter, the planet of expansion and fortune, and Neptune, the planet of spirituality, psychic receptivity, and confusion, are closing in on this conjunction in Pisces. Now, one of the things she said, it will be exact on April 12th. Now, this aspect hasn't occurred since 1856. So it won't occur again until 2021 or, I'm sorry, 2000, gosh, I don't remember, but I think it's 88 years forward, okay? So that could be a very, very emotional day for us as a whole, but we could also experience a lot of emotional release. So in a very, very literal sense, Neptune is water, Jupiter is expansion, so we can experience issues around water. Now, that could be drinking water, toxic water, could be flooding, and not just here in the United States, but around the world. But what's the flip side of all of this water and Neptune? There is a flip side and a good side. That is a great time for us to tap into our higher self, and we can even experience altered states in a very positive way. It's reaching higher, it's transcending this physical reality. I've talked about this before, stepping into that 5D energy. So along with some of, okay, and also Neptune, because things are hidden sometimes, it can bring things to the forefront, not just about the water, and it could bring things to the forefront about deceit or lies, things like that. But overall, this is a really, there's so many positive aspects of that conjunction. If we tap into it, it is, so I think people should circle that date. It is a beautiful high level energy. It's magical, it's mystical, and it will definitely magnify our manifesting abilities and our intention setting. It's kind of like a spiritual tsunami coming in. Okay, so there's another date I wanted to talk about. Okay, April 16th. Now that is a full moon, and it's also called the pink moon, and that falls in Libra. And for those of you who don't know about Libra, Libra is about the scales of justice and about bringing harmony and balance. So I sure hope on that day we hear of something that is fair and just and brings us to some type of new balance. And if not just in your personal life, but I'm hoping, that that is what we will experience. So with all that said, let's talk about the 4th and the 5th. So the 4th and the 5th of April, which is coming up, apparently there are aspects between Mars and Saturn, and it's kind of a challenging time. It has elements of the military, and it also has to do with feeling like we're being pushed beyond our limits. So it's a little bit of force control. Now, I'm going to mention this, but I don't know. I didn't do enough research on it, but I feel like I should mention it anyway. Apparently, we've had this aspect before. And when we had it before, and this is not going to be like happy news, but I can guarantee you whatever happens, we're going to get through it this year. Just be on the lookout of this. This aspect in Aquarius also took place in the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, but that turned out okay, right? Okay, it did. And then in 1934, unfortunately, Hitler came into power. So it's really important that we send, I'm telling people this because more than ever before, gosh, we need to be in a place of love and peace. And I know sometimes I sound like a Pollyanna, but I know that love heals. And the more that people can step into that place of not sending poison arrows to our perceived enemies, the better off we're going to be. So staying in peace, staying in calmness, staying in harmony. What are the things that trigger you? Look at all of that. You know, why does it trigger you? Why do you get upset? So, but then again, we've got this other beautiful energy coming in on the 12th. So all in all, fasten your seatbelts, have lots of faith, lots of courage. Please use this month as I'm going to do it this month. Be very, very determined, be very open-minded and confident, and just ride this wave of fabulous new energy. So I think that kind of wraps it up. And I'm feeling really good about it. I know there's going to be some changes and some things showing up, but we're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. And I'm going to look forward to some new changes and positive transformation. So thank you, everyone.
Wow, I have 2 whole pages of notes here.
No, I should send you my notes, right?
That was a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah, something that stands out, and I did want to bring it up. April being a risk-taking month, having to do with foundations, setting new foundations, love, family, service, and unlimited potential. So if we can keep those in mind. And then the questions that you asked, I thought were brilliant. And I think, folks need to jot those down. What needs a new perspective in your life? What new energy can you bring forth? What needs transformation or nurturing? What actions are holding you back? What makes you feel insecure? What scares you? And what do you think is out of your reach? I think those are great questions.
Thank you. Yeah. I think they are too. And I keep wanting to emphasize all of this new, because in all honesty, Ruth, we know that any month you can pretty much start something new, but sometimes it's just everything is in alignment to support that. And this is that month, without a doubt. Get rid of the old, bring in the new, bring in a new perspective for sure. One of the things that I wrote on my newsletter, and I wish I could find it right this second. How about this? Would you just give me a second because I want to find it?
Yeah.
So we could chit chat about it, but let me find where that would be for this month.
Well, and I while you're looking at that, one of the things that I wrote down is what you are feeling is going to be expanded.
Yes.
So just pay attention to what you're feeling, and keep in mind, you don't have to keep feeling what you are feeling. You can at any moment say, nah, I'm done. I'm done with that. And I can tell you, I have done that personally myself, where all of a sudden I'll just feel this feeling come over me and go, well, wait a minute, I wasn't feeling that 5 minutes ago. I'm not taking that on now. And just say, no, I'm not going to feel that right now. So you do have some power over all.
We do. And okay, so let me find this. I think I found it. I have a gazillion files on my computer.
Well, newsletters are really, really well written, and
thank you.
Really good information in there. So if you're interested in getting on her mailing list, you want to make sure that you go to michellelanders.com and sign up for her newsletters. They're really good.
Okay, so here's the quote. I found it, and it's by Teresa Ballard, who I really love. She is a physicist, and she is very much a student of metaphysics and quantum physics, knows a lot about quantum physics. And she embraces everything that we talk about, what we're doing, the idea of this new earth, this new universe. And, you know, she is a doctor of science. So she wrote, and I put this in my newsletter, corruption is everywhere, but we must get past the emotional attachment, the drama, and anger with the system, because it is only by taking full responsibility for our own actions can we, within that space of calmness and peace, find new creative solutions. And I think that's beautiful, because we do, especially the first sentence, we have to not be attached to the drama. And I know for some people it's hard. And we're challenging. I was just talking to somebody about worry, because I know someone who, that's pretty much their life, is they worry and they worry. And of course, I asked them, how many hours of worry do you think you have to put into that issue, whatever it is, to make it go away? And what's the answer? 0. So worrying serves no purpose. If anything, it only magnifies a challenging or troubling situation, and you're sending out negative energy vibes. I know that we're on the brink where more and more people will get this or know this, or that we're all energy. Everything is energy, and that energy is very, very real. So hook on and, up level your energy this month. Think positive, be calm, be happy, do whatever it is that you've been wanting to do. Step into your power.
You reminded us it is a risk-taking month.
Yeah.
Which is not in alignment with a month of worrying. You can't take risks at the same time.
You can't. And again, I just want to remind people, if they want their personal numerology for the month, it's free. Email me or go to my website and sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get it. You'll get it every month. And it's just a little snippet to help you understand what the energies are for you personally. And I show you how to calculate it. I actually do the work for you, but I show you just how to get your number, and then I show you, and then I interpret it for you. So it's worth it, I think. It helps me.
It is helpful. Well,
Yeah.
So you brought up something, and then we'll let you go, but you talked about karma and destiny, and how if you have a spiritual life, you experience the benefit of the numbers. So where do you see karma, destiny, and living life by the numbers coming together or merging? How does that work?
Okay. So the first words that come to mind, which you're going to probably go, what is, it's a crapshoot. That's not really exactly what I mean, but what I do mean is, as human beings, we want to understand, we want to know, we want to be able to wrap our heads around things. We want to make sense of things. So we get knowledge, and that helps us. And then, maybe things don't go exactly the way we planned. And it's like, well, why did that happen? So how does that apply with the numbers? The numbers are a guiding force. And it does, without a doubt, just like astrology does. I love astrology. It helps guide us. It gives us information personally, who we are, why we are who we are, without a doubt, what the year energies are like. But there is always a wild card when things sometimes happen that we are shocked and say, but that person is such a good person. Why did that horrible thing happen to them? And from my perspective, my answer is this. Number one, I don't know. We don't know everything. But my second answer is, I do believe that certain souls, and this is if you subscribe to the belief in reincarnation, that certain souls come back to help move us forward. And sometimes that happens by them taking on some really, really hard life experiences. They choose that for the growth of the planet, for the growth of the person that they're involved with. And here's a really good real life example, which I think I've talked about, but it's so perfect. I know someone who, by all accounts, when you looked at them, when you talked to them, their family was just beautiful, very wonderful, loving family, very successful, 2 children. And the short story is the young daughter went to bed one night with what they thought was a flu. The doctor just said, call me in the morning. They woke up in the morning, she was dead. She had passed. Now, how does anybody explain that? But here's what happened after that. And here's and I think this supports what I'm saying about these souls that come back. As I said, they very successful. They were very well connected. And a couple of months later, I was at an event and I was sitting next to the mother. And, it was a little bit like, oh, I don't know if I should bring this up again to tell her again how sorry. And she said, you know what, Michele, I realized that, we'll call her Mary. I realized that Mary came for a reason into my life, because this mother was able, because of her connections and of course of her money, she was able to establish a foundation that would investigate and do research on what her daughter had died of. And she said, I would have never obviously done that if that hadn't happened to Mary. So that's just one example. And I really held on to that really tightly because, of course, like all of us, we have questions like, I think I'm doing everything right. Why do bad things happen? They do. And that's the karmic and destiny part that satisfies me. And again, for all we know, there's so much more that we don't know. So that's why we do have to live by faith. And I know for you and EWN, all the positive energy that you put out there, it does come back. It does come back. If nothing else, in feeling more loving, more peaceful. And who doesn't want to feel that way, right? If nothing else, putting out all that positive energy comes back to us and feeling positive and uplifting and wanting to help our fellow man. So I think I'm getting a little bit preachy and I don't want to do that.
No, you're not. Well, and I agree with the destiny piece. I think, and sometimes I think life just happens in what you do with it,
Yes, that is another good point. It's not in the experience, it's how we react to the experience. And very good point, Ruth. Thank you for that. Yeah. Well,
I thank you so much for this insight into April. It does feel like it's going to be a pivotal month in ways. So, friends, enjoy it.
Yes.
Make the most. You've got everything lining up for you to be able to create and transform and transmute and really step into something special here. So really try to own it and make it.
Thank you for that, Ruth. Yes.
Well, Michele, thank you so much for today. And friends, thank you for joining us. Remember to take a look at michelelanders.com. You can always reach out to Michele with 1L at landers@bellsouth.net. And we look forward to seeing you all next. And so May 1st, by the way, when we will get together again, it's a Sunday, is Global Love Day.
Yay! That's exciting.
It is, with Harold Becker. We just had him on for the meditation today. And we'll look forward to spending time with you on Global Love Day.
Yes. One more thing, I do offer a free 15-minute consultation, and that's on my webpage as well. If anybody just wants to chit chat about something, are curious about numerology, about life coaching, about hypnotherapy, and I'm glad to spend the time. So I look forward to Global Love Day. What's more perfect than that? And thank you, Ruth, and thank you for all that you do. I love you so much.
I love you too. And we look forward to seeing you all soon. So take good care and God bless.